Hi again, everyone. So I found that the best way to learn how to solve systems of equations by substitution is just by seeing lots and lots of examples and having lots of practice with it. So that's what you're going to get, is 3 more examples of how to solve systems using substitution. Let's first start with the official definition, since I haven't given that to you yet. The official definition for substitution is the replacement of a term of an equation by an expression that is known to have the same value in order to simplify the equation. So this is a big definition, but basically what it's saying is we're using two things that are equal to each other, using them to replace each other to make our equations easier to solve. So this is the official definition you can have in your notes. Now you have seen substitution before. This isn't a new concept. For example, last quarter you were given problems that looked like this. You were given an expression and asked to evaluate it for a certain value. So you actually substituted 20 in for x in order to solve this. So that was kind of your first taste using substitution. So this isn't new, but it's kind of a different application. So because it's a little bit different, I have the steps that I'm going to follow written out for you over here. Now these steps are a good thing to have written down in your notes, but hopefully with time you'll have them memorized or at least be able to use them very sparingly. So let's work through these steps and show you how to solve this systems of equations using substitution. So the first step is to identify the equation y equals something. Now, if you don't have an equation that looks like this, then you're going to have to make one of the equations look like that, or you'll want to use a different method. But looks like I have one that is y equals something. See, this one is y equals 6x minus 13. This 6x minus 13 is the something in parentheses. So I identified this because I can see that 6x minus 13 and y have the exact same value. They're equal to each other. Now step number 2 says plug that something in for y in the other equation. So since I know that y is equal to 6x minus 13, that means I can plug it in for y in the other equation. So let's go ahead and plug it in there. So we have 4x minus 3, and instead of a y, I'm going to plug in this something. And always substitute with parentheses, so you can keep all the signs straight. And then continue filling it out exactly the same as before. Okay, step number 2 is done. Step number 3, solve the equation for x. So you'll notice now we went from an equation 4x minus 3y equals 25. This equation has x and y in it. But after I substituted, I just have an equation with just x in it. So this is an equation that I can solve, and you guys should be getting pretty good at solving equations by now. So let's solve this equation. First we need to simplify it by getting rid of the parentheses. Parentheses mean that I distribute, so this negative 3 is being distributed across everything in the parentheses. So everything else stays the same. So 4x, but then we have negative 3 times 6x is negative 18x, and we have negative 3 times negative 13. Negative times a negative is a positive, so it's positive 39, and this is equal to 25. Okay, let's keep simplifying. I can simplify a little bit more because I can see I have 4x's and negative 18x's, so these can be combined. 4x minus 18x is negative 14x, and then everything else can stay the same. And I should be ready to solve now. So to solve, I need to get x by itself on this side of the equal sign. So this 39 is on the wrong side, it's got to go. So combine it with the 0 pair, which is negative 39. And subtract 39 on both sides to keep it balanced. These will cancel each other out. And I'm left with negative 14x equals 25 minus 39, which is negative 14. Now to finish up, I will divide by negative 14 on both sides in order to get x by itself. Negative 14 divided by negative 14 is 1. So I'm left with 1x equals negative 14 divided by negative 14 is 1. Just said that. Okay, so we solved the equation for x and we found that x equals 1. Very good, that was step number 3. Step number 3 is kind of long, right? Okay, now you'll see that we're not quite done yet. There's still 2 more steps. So let's keep reading what we need to do and move this a little bit out of the way. So it says, now you have a value for x. Yes, I do. Plug that value into either equation for x and solve for y. So you'll remember that a solution to a system of equations will always have a value for x and a value for y. Right now I just have half of an answer. So I know what x equals, I need to know what y equals. So step number 4 says to figure out what y is, plug in x equals 1 into either of these equations and solve. So I'm going to choose whichever equation looks easier, and I'm thinking this top one looks easier. So let's rewrite it and plug the value that I found back in for x. So substituting. So we have 6, and instead of an x, I'll write a 1. Always substitute using parentheses. And we are left with 6 times 1 is 6 minus 13. So y equals 6 minus 13 is negative 7. Okie dokie. So now we have a value for y. Okay, so this would be my answer. X is equal to 1 and y is equal to negative 7. Or it could be written as a coordinate. 1, negative 7. So remember, with a coordinate, x value goes first and the y value goes second. So this would be my answer. Okay, that's step number 4. Now step number 5 says to check your solution, which is something you guys should know how to do. In order to check your solution, you plug these values back into both equations and make sure that they're both true. So I will leave that up to you in order to keep this lesson video short, and go ahead and move on to the next example.